Hi guys, Electron Man. How you doing today? Well, we're back on this realistic home receiver that I've got. I did a part 1 on this, and we're kind of on part 2 here. One thing is I got the light bulbs in. It's kind of why the delay for the second video. But if you ever seen these fuse lamps, they literally look like a fuse. I mean, you would think that they're just a regular old style fuse, but actually they're not. They're an actual incandescent light bulb, an 8-volt light bulb. Anyway, I went ahead and got some new ones. I ordered some blue ones and some white ones, and wanted to show you what the new retrofit ones are, which is really cool. Obviously they're the same size, but they have 3 LEDs in them, and they really work well. In fact, let me go ahead, and I've got them installed here now. You can see they are a little more directional than the other ones, but typically they're used in dial lights and stuff, and being directional is actually a good thing. But as you can see, they look really nice in there. And anyway, I was in my process of getting this guy all cleaned up, and I've already got it repaired and working. I was going to get it all cleaned up, get the new lights in, and get everything functioning perfectly. And I decided, you know, I think I said on another video that the stereo light was out, so I decided, well, I'm just going to replace that stereo light, which is actually another little bitty, where's it at? Right here. So if I try to keep this camera somewhat stable, but anyway, this is what that little incandescent one looks like. And I said, well, I'll just replace it with an LED. Well, that, you know, sometimes my own worst enemy. Anyway, I got this guy pulled out and realized it still worked. It's not even a burned out bulb, but it's just really dim and it's hard to see. Well, I thought, well, I might as well go ahead and put an LED. But anyway, where my worst enemy is if you look around the back here where this little LED light's at, see this twine here? That's your string that you use to do your dial indicator that makes the dial move back and forth here. And anyway, when I was pulling that LED out, I don't know if the string was old or what, but it snapped on me, and it unsprung like a spring in a watch. And anyway, as you can see, I have it retwined and I have it working. But I read online somewhere that leather repair kit, you know, the twine that's wax covered, is real good for using for this twine. I'm cheap. I didn't want to have to buy actual quote twine, the actual string that they use. So I bought some of that. Well, it is working. As you can see, it works fine. It's turning the tuner, everything that it should do. It's on all the pulleys that it should be, and it works. But it's already fraying, and me being in right mind, I don't want to close this thing up and have it, you know, fray and break in a year or two. So obviously that string did not work. So I nixed the idea of the leather repair sewing string. As you can see right there, see, it's already starting to ravel out. So it's just not going to work. That, and actually the wax tends to make it worse, and it's got a little bit of stretch to it. So I got to digging around, and I think my best bet is going to be, I bought some of this braided fishing light wine. It's a little bit thinner, but this is rated at 50 pounds, so it's plenty strong enough, and I don't think it'll stretch, and I don't think it'll unravel like this twine here is doing. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and bring you along on the journey. I didn't show you the first time I'm replacing it, but you know, I thought this might be kind of a good video if you've never done one of these before, to how to restring a dial indicator on an old radio. It's really not. Really, the main thing is understanding how it routes around through the pulleys and everything. It's usually pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, this one came loose like a clock spring, so I really didn't have a whole lot to reference. It was gone before I knew it. It snapped right here, and it came off the reel there, and it just dropped off all the pulleys. But if you use a little logic, you can figure out how it routes around and which pulleys it needs to go on. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set this camera up and go ahead and kind of just let it run while I change the string, and maybe you get a little education on how to replace one of these strings. It's really more of a patience. Basically, the thing I find I use best is just a good pair of tweezers to kind of manipulate it around in here, and you just have to have a little patience, and you should be able to restring one. The tension is always important, and which, if you notice right here, right here, you got this little spring. Well, you want to have a little tension on that spring when you're done, because that's what actually keeps this line taut. And it's not real hard. I'll show you a couple of little tricks when I get to there. But basically what I'm going to do is I'll cut this string off, and the way I do it is I'll tie one end of the string to the spring, and I'll go ahead and start routing, and I'll route it all the way through, and I'll get it routed all the way back around, and I'll get it back around here, and then I'll work on tension and tying it off. And I got a little trick for once I get it to the tension I want for tying it off. I put a little drop of super glue just for just this little bitty drop that keeps it from unraveling on me while I tie it, because it's real hard to keep it tension. I don't have enough hands to do that, so I found that if you just get it tensioned up, fold it over, just put a drop of super glue, let it dry for a second, then you can go ahead and tie it correctly, and it keeps the tension on it, and that little bit of super glue is not going to affect anything. Basically, it's soaked into the spring, or into the string anyway, and it's not going to weaken it or anything. So anyway, that's a little trick I've learned. So anyway, I'm going to get this camera set up to where you can kind of just watch me replace this string again. A lot of extra work and a lot of extra money just because I wanted to replace an LED that already worked. Although it does now have a nice bright LED for the stereo, as you can tell right there. I do have a nice bright LED in there now, so I did gain that, where the other one you couldn't really hard tell if it was lit or not. But man, it's a lot of work just to replace an LED light. Anyway, I'm gonna switch this camera around and be back at restringing this dial indicator. Okay, well the first thing I'm gonna do, as much as I hate to, is I'm gonna cut this string off that I spent so much time stringing up. At least this time I don't have to worry about knowing where it goes, so. Yeah, goodbye string. Yeah, I have to restring this guy too, but this one uses like a friction, and it just, you just wrap it in and out on one side and the other side, and then it just keeps a friction on there. It doesn't have to be real strong. It just has to hold the string in there so that this moves real, or slides real smoothly, so that shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully you're catching that in the camera. I'm trying to get this. Back a little further there. Okay, let's try it with the new stuff now. Basically, the way I start is I start over here on this end that I showed you with the spring in it. So I'll tie it off on this spring to start with. Hopefully this spider braided fishing line is going to work better than that other stuff. Okay, I've got it tied off on one string now, so take my, actually I'm going to get this. It's going to make the most sense, probably about right there. Kind of get it straight up and down. Now I know it goes under this pulley. Actually, I don't need this whole thing on its pull, so I'll make sure and get plenty long enough and just cut it off over here. Okay, and then I'll just again start with this pulley. Goes in this pulley. Goes in that pulley. Now I'm gonna have to put some turns around the counterweight here. This is definitely where the tweezers are gonna come in handy. I usually do 3 turns. Around the counterweight. You want to do 2 or 3. This line's thin enough, I definitely want to do 3. Here's 2. Kind of holding it here. Actually, I could even do that. There's 3 wraps. And then as you can see, my string has come off my pulley there, so I want to get it back on. And then on the back ways, it goes on the smaller pulley going back, so it goes right there on that pulley. And now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little clamp here and hold that off so that doesn't slacken up on me. Under here, around that pulley, and then under this pulley. Now I'm getting close. And then this will go. So over that one and then under this one. Again, it's just a little matter of patience. Okay, so now I've got it initially strung. Off a wheelie there, but that's okay. Go ahead and get her started in the spring on this side. Take the slack off of that. And as you can see, I pretty much have it. Having these little guys is pretty handy too, because you can use it to hold it in places where you need it held. And as I can see, I'm off the pulley on this end. This is definitely the hardest one too. Tell you what I think I'm going to do too is I'm going to go ahead and get this dowel. Got it now, yeah. Okay, we're getting there in a hurry. I think I need about an 80-pound test line. This is just a little bit on the thin side, but it's gonna work. I mean, strength-wise, I think I'm fine, but vision-wise, man, it makes it hard. basically all I got left is I got to get this one string here over the pulley. Got her. Looks promising. Okay, we're there, we're there, we're there. Hopefully you can see all that, how I got all that strung in there. This is my biggest trick right here, is at the end. It's getting that tension on there. Feels like I'm about right. So what I do now, my little trick, I just take a little drop of CA here. That was probably about 10 times more than I needed. It's not going to hurt a thing though. And now I'll just let it dry for a second, so that'll keep the tension on everything. And I'll go back and tie this string off because I just got it looped around the spring. Here, actually, it looped around the string right there, and then I just put a drop of CA. I just put a drop of CA right there at my turn on my string. But what it'll do is it'll go ahead and seal it up. In fact, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and squeeze it together, make sure. What I want that CA to do is basically just glue it long enough for me to go back and tie it off now. But as you can see, string goes around, goes through, goes down, goes around the counterweight, comes back around, down them two pulleys and back around. As you can see, I've already got her strung. Of course, I'm kind of cheating. This is what, the second time I've done this in 2 or 3 days, so it was a lot harder the first time. I didn't come up with the CA idea till I fought that other string for a while. But anyway, let me go ahead and I'm going to let the CA dry for a little bit, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how she works. Okay, now that I got her, as you can see, turning like it should, smooth as a whistle. No problem at all. Now all I need to do is cut off my little excess piece here, like so. And I'll probably go ahead and just for good practice, I'll put one more little drop on there. Well, that was more than a drop. Golly. There we go. One more drop of CA there, just to make sure that that string doesn't ever untie. But as you can see now, we have her strung in. It goes across these two, around these two pulleys, goes down around the top of that pulley, goes around the counterweight shaft. I did it 3 times. Goes back up to the smaller pulley on the outside, goes through the dial indicator, comes back around, goes around this pulley, down, makes a 90, comes back around and goes back around. So that's one continuous string. Go ahead and move the radio back where you can see it. And of course I have the front all off of it and everything, but just to show you, look at that, back to just the way it should be. And all you got to do to set the needle there now is, because it's on a friction, it's on a tension basically that holds that to the string on this particular one. Some I see that you bend over a tab, it doesn't matter. You just want to get it secured to the string there, and then all I got to do is put the glass on there, find a good strong radio station that I know, you know, whatever that frequency is, and just line the dial up with the glass so that the dial and the glass are aligned, and we have one string replaced again. Well, I don't know about changing out stereo LED lights after that. Geez, that was a lot of extra work, but a good idea on it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. This is one of those how-to videos. If you're into restoring old vintage stereos and such, you're going to end up with having to put a string in sometime. And I gave you some good tips, and I use this easy brand. You just want to use a branded fishing line. All they had at I bought this at Walmart was 50-pound. I would have liked to have had like 80-pound or 100-pound, not for the tensile strength, just because of the thickness of the string. This is more than strong enough, but it's a little harder to work with because it's slightly thinner than what the original string was. But anyway, it works. That's what matters. And I think I got this reel, which is 110 yards, for like $8 or $9. So cheap replacement compared to going out, and I looked at eBay and they want $15 for 3 foot of string. Yeah, because they call it dial string. Yeah, right. Anyway, guys, have a great day. This is Electron Man. If you haven't already, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.